Welcome to the first video of Chapter 10, where we will be studying trigonometry. First of all, some terminology here. Trigonometry is the study of triangles. And with the triangles that we'll be studying, we look at the measurements of their sides, and what was discovered long ago that God put into creation is that the ratios of the sides of the triangle, whether you have a very tiny triangle or a very large one, if their angles are the same, the ratios of their sides are the same. So this has very many applications. Of course, right triangle trigonometry is the study when you have a right angle in the triangle, and that's what we're going to be focused on. So within a right triangle, we need to identify the parts. If this angle is the right angle, which is always marked for us, the hypotenuse is the side that is across from the right angle. Okay. Always need to identify that. The legs are the other two sides. Now these legs can be the adjacent side to the angle or the opposite side to the angle, depending on which angle you're talking about. For example, if you're talking about this angle up here, angle A, the leg across from it, way over here, we would call that the side opposite. And this leg, I defined it over here, the side that actually touches the angle. So if this is angle A, this side is touching the angle. So this leg is called the adjacent. Okay. Adjacent means next to. So just to further clarify, if we're going to be doing some trig calculations and we're going to be using angle B right here, the side that is labeled 8 is opposite from angle B, and the side that's touching it, the side that's labeled 6, is adjacent, and of course 10 is across from the 90, so 10 is the hypotenuse. Alright, if you don't have these written down in your notes, please pause the video and write it down. And this is something we're going to probably enter into our calculator memory so we have it readily available. I just gave both the words and the definitions and the abbreviation. So this is called the sine. We abbreviate it SIN, and it is the opposite side over the hypotenuse. Likewise, this word is cosine. It's abbreviated COS, and it is the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Tangent, abbreviated TAN, is adjacent over opposite. Now you have a sine, cosine, and tangent key on your calculator that we'll learn to use today. Each of these trig functions have a reciprocal. The reciprocal of sine, 1 over sine, is called cosecant, and of course it's just the reciprocal of the ratio. The reciprocal of cosine is called secant, and it is hypotenuse over adjacent, and the reciprocal of tangent is cotangent. Now you will not find on your calculator a cosecant or secant or cotangent key. It does not exist. Your calculator just expects you to use 1 divided by sine if you are looking for the cosecant of an angle. So this is important to have in your notes, and like I said, we'll enter it in our calculator so we have it for easy reference. In this example, we're asked to state the exact values of the 6 trig ratios of angle A. Now this word exact means do not do any rounding off, do not take any square roots, don't divide, give the exact answers, meaning you leave it in fraction form and radical form. So first we notice before we can find the 6 trig ratios of A, we are missing a side here. We need to find this side. So we recall what we learned in geometry, the Pythagorean theorem, would be 1 leg squared, which is 2 squared, plus this missing side, I'll just call it B, equals the hypotenuse squared. So if you square 16, take away 4, we end up with b squared equals the square root of 12. And of course we learned in an earlier chapter how to simplify radicals. There's a perfect square of 4 in the 12, so the 2 comes out. So I have 2 square root 3. And we're using exact values, so we're going to leave that as 2 square root 3 for this side of the triangle. So now to find the sine of A, it's opposite over hypotenuse. The side opposite A is 2 square root 3, and the hypotenuse is 4. That can be reduced, because the 2/4 reduces, to square root 3 over 2. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. The side adjacent to angle A is 2. The hypotenuse is 4, reduces to 1/2. Tangent, opposite over adjacent. So the side opposite angle A is 2 square root 3. Adjacent to A is 2, and that simplifies to square root 3. Now I set this up on purpose. I put the cosecant right next to the sine because it is the reciprocal function. So all we have to do is take the reciprocal of this. We have to write this as 2 over square root 3. But then we notice we cannot divide by an irrational number, so we have to rationalize this, multiply by square root 3 over square root 3, and we're left with 2 square root 3 over 3. Secant, the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2, and cotangent, the reciprocal here would be 1 over square root 3. Once again, rationalize your denominator, and we're left with square root 3 over 3. All right, just a note here. The power, the value, the use of trigonometry is the fact that any right triangle drawn with these exact same angle measurements will have these same ratios, no matter if it's small like this on my piece of paper, or this same triangle is drawn in a much larger scale, one of the sides being a 1/4 mile long, being bounced off a satellite. And because these ratios are always the same, we can use them to calculate things, distances when they survey land, or ships will use these to figure out how far off of shore they are by looking at the angles. So I hope your understanding of this grows as we learn this chapter. This next part is a calculator lesson. When you're working with degrees and you're doing these, please press the mode key on your calculator and make sure it is in degree modes and not in radians. We'll study radians in a little bit here, but for our calculations today, we want to find the sine of 60 degrees. So you just punch the sine button and hit 60, and we round off just like we did with logarithms, 4 decimal places. Find the tangent of 22.6 degrees, just punch tangent and the degrees, and it's approximately equal to 0.4163. So try those. And then here, secant, right? We don't have a secant button on our calculator, but we know that secant is the inverse of cosine. So you punch 1 divided by cosine, and then enter your 83.25, and if I did this right, this is about equal to 8.5079. This last part is learning how to use the angle button on our calculator. We can use that, first of all, if we're given a measurement in decimal degrees. For instance, 83.25 degrees. And we want to change this from a decimal number into the way degrees are measured on a map, in degrees, minutes, and seconds. So just to review, there are 60 minutes in a degree, and there are 60 seconds in a minute. And this would be kind of a pain to convert by hand. We could do it, but we have on our calculator the DMS button, which is degrees, minutes, seconds, and it's located in the angle menu. So on your calculator, enter 83.25, and then to get to the angle menu, it is the second function of the apps key. So hit second apps, and then a menu will appear. And I believe the fourth choice on most calcs is the degree, minutes, seconds. So choose that. And then after you hit enter, the calculator will display the 83.25 degrees in degrees, minutes, and seconds. I think I wrote this down right. Where it will give you the 83 degrees with the degree symbol, and 15, the dash means minutes, and there was no seconds here. So if you want to try one that actually has seconds on it, you could try entering 8.8725 degrees, and then punch second apps to get angle, and then do degrees, minutes, seconds. And if I did this right, the display should be 8 degrees, 52 minutes, and 21 seconds. So try that. All right, the last thing today is to go backwards with that. When we're given the angle in degrees, minutes, and seconds, and we want to change it back to a decimal number. So we have to get this into the display, and so we have to know where to find the degree symbol, the minute symbol, and the second symbol. So first just punch in the number 70, and then to find the degree symbol, it's in the degree menu, and I think it's the first choice. So if you punch in 70, the angle, and then take the first choice, the display in your calc, it would add the degree symbol. So then enter the 31 and go back to the angle menu, and I believe the minute symbol is the second choice, and then it'll put a minute symbol for you. And now this is kind of weird. I don't know why the seconds symbol is not in the angle menu, but it isn't. So you want to punch in 39, and then it is an alpha function. It's the third function of your plus sign. So hit alpha plus sign, and then it'll put in the minute symbol. After you have this whole thing on your display screen, all you need to do is press enter, and it will take that degrees, minutes, seconds, and it will change it to a decimal degree. And I ended up with 70.5275, if I did that right for the decimal degrees. All right, that's it. Have fun.